Hello and welcome. My name is Aurex. I play for Underrated Gaming, and this is a first-person strategy and tactics VOD. This is on Cloud Kingdom, ESV Cloud Kingdom. It is a ladder game in the 8th season. This is a PvT. This is more of a reactionary strategy one. It's about something that I'm sure a lot of you have played against and had problems with. It is a 1-1-1. I think this is the cloakless 9-minute variation, where they come very early to try and get there before your first Colossus is done. It's really annoying. All of you know that. All of you Terrans know that especially, because we yell at you. Because 1-1 is ridiculous, because Banshees are very, very, very strong, combined with the point defense drone, combined with siege tanks zoning them out. They're faster, they stay at range. They're just really, really strong. Makes it very, very hard to survive an all-in, especially once they pull their SCVs and there's just so much meat in their army. It comes down to whether or not you have a Colossus or two out, and whether or not you can hold them off from getting up your ramp. You got to use your positional advantages. You got to use your environmental advantages as efficiently as possible, or you are going to die. Now, the first tell of a 1-1-1 is a gas on 13. Gas on 13, sometimes gas on 14. I've seen one on gas on 15. It's all about what time it hits at that point. Gas on 13 is a cloaked variation with a point defense drone and 3 siege tanks. Lots and lots of Marines. I know many of you share my sentiment in the fact that this is just a very, very hard build to survive. Period. Doesn't matter how good your micro, your macro, your any of it is. It's just very, very hard to survive. This particular one, I managed to survive, and he manages to survive. So it's a little peculiar in that sense, but if he would have pushed in, he would have died, and if I would have pushed out, I would have died. It was a positional thing, and it turned out basically the only way it could have turned out, as far as up to 14, 13 minutes. Beyond that, I do my own thing. Anybody who's seen any of my other videos, I'm sure can tell that I do my own thing. I learn what works for me, and then I do it, because my skill set is different than anyone else. Because I am me. I am unique. And that's just the way people are built. I mean, you can copy builds to a certain extent, you can copy strategies to a certain extent, but in the end, how you play with your units, how you move your units, how you micro your units, it comes down to you. So what you need comes down to you. Especially as a Protoss, with so many different quicker choices to make, we have to decide every single time we're warping in where and what to warp in. So there's another depth of strategy in that, and I mean, it adds that much more personal flair to it. I mean, there's no one right answer, because this is not a symmetrically balanced game, it's asymmetrically balanced. So it comes down to hard counters and unit counters, rather than my unit does the exact same amount of damage as yours, and we're just gonna micro as best we can and hope.
I'm here in the shadows.
The environmental advantages like high ground and defender's advantage is really what helps make it asymmetrically balanced the most, because of the different abilities that are micro stifling, such as force field, conch shell, siege tech, infestors, burrow. Oh, the list goes on. So I poke up the ramp, see that he's got a ton of Marines and a reactor on that bad boy.
Research complete.
Yeah, getting my expand up. Either way, you want to be getting an expand up. I'm doing MC's 1 gate expand. 1 sentry, 1 zealot stalker, plus an extra stalker. So 2 stalkers, a sentry and a zealot, and then you warp into sentry with your first warp in. It's really safe. As long as you're scouting actively and know when he's moving out, you can either move probes down fast enough or keeping enough units to survive. I have a ton of Chrono Boost saved up because, quite frankly, with these 1-1-1 builds, they can leave anytime they want, and they can still have that many more units than us because of the reactor, because of Mule, and because of the way their buildings are structured, and they don't have expansion, so that's important too, you know. To survive, as I said earlier, you gotta rush for Colossus. You gotta get ranged Colossus as soon as you physically can. They outranged tanks once they're ranged. Basically, you need Splash that's gonna be able to stay away from getting splashed. You need Splash, period, to kill all the Marines, the SCPs. Because once you kill that stuff, getting to the siege tanks and the Banshees isn't so hard. My macro was okay. Could have put a couple guys on gas a little sooner. I panicked a little bit when I saw him coming out. A lot of recommendation is to stop building probes at this point.
I'm here.
Yeah, it's to get a couple extras out. I think more important is getting the positional advantage. I move my stuff out. What you want to try and do is force them to put a defense drone outside of your base, because then you can actually kill the Banshees. Otherwise, the Banshees are just going to rip you apart all day, every day. So you got to take a stand, move down a force field. Oh, look, he puts down his point defense drone. I can survive an extra 30-40 seconds while he gains the energy to do that, and by that time, hey look, I've got a Colossus. At this point, you want to be aggressive with the Colossus, but not with the rest of it. You can't lose your Colossus. Your Colossus is the game with the period, 100% of the time. Lose your Colossus, you die. Sacking your natural 400 minerals from the Nexus, not such a bad thing. You want to try to pull your probes, obviously, and save your probes, and I mean, I've saved them all there, because everything was targeting the Nexus. You poke with your Colossus, you poke with your Colossus, do as much damage to your Colossus as you can. I didn't get range in this situation. I didn't have enough gas to get it when it came out. So I'm between a rock and a hard place, and I can't save my expansion there. That's okay. That's more than okay. I've got a probe. What you want to try and do is make him retreat. You want to survive and make him retreat. So I sent a probe out. I had a probe on the watchtower. He walked past, so I sent it into his base because he had the thing where it's just his supply depot down. Well, I'm building a pylon in his base. Now he's going to go home with at least a portion of his army because he sees that I can kill everything in his base if he wants to sit outside my base until the end of the game. That's why having that probe outside is really important. Or keeping that scouting probe alive, I should say, is really important. Get in there. I don't even think I killed an SCV. I wouldn't know if it was SCVs. But I killed the SCV working on the command center there for his expansion. Delayed an extra 5 seconds while he pulls another one. And I'm getting my expansion up, so quite frankly, we're going to get our expansions up at about the same time. I saw that he had double Stargates. No. I did not kill his Raven or any of his actual Banshees. And in the past, I've come up against a lot of players who like to just mass Banshees, and quite frankly, they just rip apart Stalkers this turn. It's like Mutalisk in the sense that once they get over 25 mutas or so, they can directly engage your Stalkers. Once they get over like 8 Banshees, they can directly engage your Stalkers and just one hit them. And it's kind of imba, but you know, survive. So, what do you do when you can't kill enough Banshees? When you don't have enough to kill Banshees? You get an air unit. They can't shoot up. He doesn't have anything but Marines that can shoot up, and your Colossus are going to be killing the Marines. Your Stalkers are going to be killing Marines. The Marines are going to be focusing other stuff. And if they're focusing the Void Rays, then they're not focusing the Stalkers, so you can kill them with your Stalkers. In essence, you want to give yourself an option. You want to force him to have to micro, and then micro better. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense when I hear it out loud, but you want him to have to make a mistake. You want to give him the opportunity to make a mistake.
Prismatic core
Tech
online.
changes, economic changes. Like 10 out of 10. Nice. Tech changes, economic changes, tactical changes, any of the things that you can do to force him off. Now he has to start building a ton of Vikings. He sees Colossus and air units. Holy cow, I need more air dominance, blah blah blah. He's not going to be able to build extra Marines because Vikings are 150 minerals. He's going to have probably 2 reactored starports at this point. So what I want to be doing is expanding so that I can get more units to overwhelm his tech units. One step after the other, one thing after another. You just got to be thinking 1-2 steps ahead. What is he going to do, so what do I have to do? What is he going to do, so what do I have to do? This is the strategy portion of it. Obviously, there's finals and probes, which even I'm terrible at. My macro is embarrassing in most of these videos, but, well, beggars can't be choosers, and these are the ones that had the best strategy examples. This was a counter-strategy example, obviously, but the point is the same. I did not scout that push, so I canceled my nexus there. I see that he sieged up on that ramp there, and that he's still pushing aggressively, so I assume that he's on one hotkey. Ignorantly, I assume my opponents are worse than me, or as bad as me. So I swing around behind to try and snipe this tank, but he's already full dead. I see this tiny little army here, and I decide to engage, but oh my goodness, there's a ton of siege tanks. So he'll do a bunch of damage here, and because those loiters exist, he'll let my Colossus. And look at how many tanks I took. He's down to 1 siege tank. I have 2 Colossus left. I would call that an advantage. That snipe right there was outside of range once the missiles got there. Later on, there's another observer snipe that I took a glitch or something, but it was quite impressive. You'll see it later. I'll point it out to you. I see that he's still building siege tanks and banshees and blah 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 blah. So Archons counter everything there. Archons, the only thing they don't counter is ghosts, battle cruisers. That's about it. I mean, Archons are really good. Really good. They are armored, they have a ton of health. Psionic armor. They have a ton of health, and they do splash damage, and they do bonus to bio. Like, oh. I love Archons against Terran, especially when there's no ghosts. The problem is that EMP still does 200 damage instantly, and ghosts can use that as soon as they pop out. So the unit that has to travel to get to where it's going has an upgrade that can use its energy instantly, or its abilities instantly, and High Templars, which can be at their target instantly and are designed to be able to be versatile like that, can't, because we don't have High Templars. You're gonna hear me QQ about Khaderan Amulet again if you ever see me again, because I still think Khaderan Amulet needs to come back. Buff Terran, don't make Protoss weaker. Our tech counter, that right there. I took 5 missiles to that thing, didn't take any damage. It was one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen. I want to go back and replay that, but not so much to actually go back and replay it. So I'm getting my 3rd up. I see that he has his 3rd up. I need to be more aggressive in getting my 3rd up, so I pull more probes over there. I'm getting a charge, I'm getting more gateways, I'm getting more economy. I've been slacking on economy all game because I was very afraid. I'm not very good at holding off 1-1-1s, and this is the most successful way that I have found. The composition he goes into late game is suboptimal, but it's still very strong, and it still killed me before, so you take what you can get. I definitely don't have enough probes at this point. But I'm getting Storm anyways, so I scout his army, he has a ton of Vikings, and I giggle to myself a little because, well, your Vikings are only going to do so much there, buddy. You got 2 Colossus and 2 Void Rays, and a whole bunch of charge lots and Archon. So yeah, once you Once you see that, what you want to be doing is engaging in the open. You don't want to let him get sieged. So what I was originally intending to do there, as you can see with my units moving out and taking a position defensively in the valley there, was the correct thing to do. What I do is not so much the correct thing. I wait for him to come to me, and now he starts sieging up my third. So I'm going to lose a bunch of probes and lose structural integrity, but, well, the Vikings are going to die. Just look at how many 2 Archons in the front there, how long they survived. They survived 6-10 barrages from 6 to 10 tanks. And I didn't like very well with my Stalkers. Archons hard counter tanks. Archons hard counter.
Research complete.
Home face. Archons are awesome. So at this point I know I have an advantage, and I know that his units are expensive, so I want to be putting on aggression. I want to be keeping him down. He is behind me, I need to be keeping it that way because it takes him much longer to build up that kind of an army than it takes me to build up this kind of an army. So I move up into his third, because that's the base with the most economy left on it. I see that he's got some siege tanks there, and that he is bunkered up to the 9s. So I take another expansion. You always want to have a backup plan. I've got a couple of Templars there with Storm on the way. I've got Charge. Yeah, no, I got Charge on the way. Building more Mortals, because Mortals are awesome against tanks. And Scouting Blink Stalker time. I see a bunch of uninhabited bunkers, so that's time to kill those. One Marauder there. Yeah, that's so I got him in a bad position, but he still was able to outstrength me because the Marines are really strong. Storm, however, smashed the Marines. I don't know who that goes. Fish, Blood Splatter, etc. Yeah, if you want to give that to me, it's obviously it doesn't matter as much the Terran because I think mules, they can just build command centers all they want. He's sitting at 2k minerals, so he could have just built 3 more command centers, started muling, and it wouldn't have mattered, but it wouldn't have gotten up by the time he survived, so. At this point, it's a little bit of an impasse, and quite frankly, I basically won as long as I don't make any mistakes, but Terran, they like to sit back and just wait for you to make mistakes. They like to wait for you to walk into the buildings and they giggle as they do in Paris. They want you to walk into a choke and get smashed by all their units sniping you from range because all from range. It's a hard knock life, but no, that's the race we got. Get the charge lots of the ramp. Keep back. My Templar is about to die. Use the storms because you don't want to waste the energy. Gas the vessels. Spread your units. Get them doing as much damage as they can. And keep macroing. Again, my macro is very good at the game. At this point, I was frustrated and just tired of playing against this guy because he's just sitting there waiting for me to make mistakes. Achilles, snipey. Avoid the siege tanks that are there. I'm still macroing poorly at this point because, well, I'm just. It is nothing I'm proud of. Then they'll come to third because to be stopping his economy at the utmost pace. And when he puts on a hold position like that, you're also going to run around unless you stand next to his SCVs and let his tanks slash damage his own SCVs. So I mean, if he wants to be cute, you be cute back. Finally, I decide to actually play towards more than 3 seconds from now and take that expansion. A couple of siege tanks left. There's a wall of buildings there, so you know what? I'm just gonna go walk into your third and kill your economy. I don't care how many buildings you have in your way if you can't build any units out of them. Patience, patience, patience. Swing around, build up a ton of units, and then a move to win. Yep, that's what you do.
I'm here in the shadows.
You know, chrono boost occasionally. put your ton of idle gas probes and minerals, but you know what? I'm double his supply and I know it. I know that he has no chance to win as long as I attack properly. I'm so patient at this point, I just wasn't playing for any more of a late game. Two siege tanks there. Two siege tanks there. And that's GG. And that's how I do with the 1-1-1. This is a really strong map for Terran to do 1-1-1 on because of the double entrance to your natural and the really wide open third. He had a lot of positional advantages on me when he sieged his tanks, but tech advantage as a Protoss is your go-to because your tech, your late game is stronger than theirs. So thanks for watching, hope you learned something. If not, I'm sorry, but that's just how I play.